I bet you I have forgotten to turn on the other cameras. Let's see what's going to happen. Overhead. Ah, crud. Damn it. Yes. Alright, be right back in 10 seconds or less. Okay, hopefully we're back. And yes, we do have... I don't know why OBS can't seem to recapture the HDMI capture port. Doesn't matter. Anyway, drama. Okay, so new facecam. This is the Logitech Streamcam, 60 frames per second, 1080p. You know, I am pretty happy with it. It seems to be quite good. Yeah, the picture quality is good. It deals with the backlight quite nicely because it's overcast outside, but it is daylight, and daylight is inherently tremendously more bright than most interior lighting, so I'm quite happy about that. And yeah, it looks 60 frames per second. Nice thing is it's USB-C, so that means I'm not overloading my existing USB 2 and 3 paths, which means maybe we'll get less issues with CPU congestion or USB congestion. A&L, no, we're not doing 4K, you know that. 1080 and 60 frames per second is good enough. So yeah, so pretty happy with that. Go back to the overhead. Wow, the overhead looks kind of dead now. Needs more lighting. Okay. I just noticed the framing's slightly out. Ah, boy. Bear with me. Let's see, Control Shift Alt. That'll suffice. Micro pairs, yeah, that's the USB-C one. It's quite cheap too. It's only about $160 Australian. So it's definitely a good buy. Okay, I'm just going to put this machine back together. This obviously my old camera. This is the 922, I think. Yeah, this is the 922. I also have a 920. I've got a good number of these now, which I'm probably not going to ever use again. Oh well. Alright, need to put this machine back together. Get it synced off so that I can hear the glorious sound of ka-ching in my bank account. I'm gonna have the ka-ching. And hopefully this actually works. Hey, real time, Jose. Hey, Alexi. And that's a little bit too much paste. But no one's going to see that. Cough, cough. Give it a good smush. Smush, smush, smush. And that will adequately bond what I need bonded. Now, those two. Crikey. Almost lost that screw. Yeah, I'm very happy with the visual quality. I'll put my glasses on to seem like I'm actually a professional now. It transforms me, like putting on a lab coat turns you into a doctor or a scientist or a chemist or something like that. Even though real life scientists, doctors and chemists rarely wear lab coats in that respect, unless they're actually in the lab. Hey John Finn. I was a little bit worried on Linux when I plugged this in. It didn't give me a 60 frames per second option. And I was like, you kidding me? What's going on? But it turns out if in Open Broadcaster you set the resolution to be unchanged after you have set it to 1080 and you go back to unchanged, then suddenly, for whatever reason, 60 frames per second comes up. So, yeah, lucky find. Oh, endgame. Okay, we're just going to clear the crap out of this thing. Yep, didn't need that. Nice thing is it actually comes with a separate tripod adapter too. I don't know how useful that's going to be, but nice that it came with it. Hey, micromanage. Alrighty. Alright, this is interesting. We got another one. There we do. Yep. There's so much crap that's been in this laptop in terms of grit and junk that I basically am going to have to remove their adhesive tape or the little shrouds and put down my own fresh tape for the shrouds, because that's just a little bit too gunky even for me. I'll reach down to the trolley, pull out a bag of tapes. Let's see, what do we want? There's some Tessa tape. That should do it. I wonder if the coder is sleeping soundly now, or whether he's too hyped up after his absolutely insane APU reball that worked. That was for PlayStation 4, I think it was. Reballed an APU to get data off. And it worked. I was going to say lucky bastard, but then it's probably more to do with pedantic skill than luck. PlayStation 4 Pro. Oh, there's a Pro, is there? Huh. Shows what I know about PlayStations. I didn't realize there was a Pro edition of the 4. So what was the actual data that was on the APU? Because I would have thought everything would be on the hard drive. But maybe, I suppose it's like keying, you know, unique keys to the APU to unlock what was on the drive. But yeah, that was a long-winded process. Okay, and that's me just being stupid on the other hand right now. Far longer than I've ever bothered to put time in on a MacBook. Yep, that'll suffice. Can I access data without all the chips and APU? Yeah, but which data are you talking about? So what, it's encrypted on the drive and you need the APU because the APU has the keys sort of thing, kind of like a T2. Ach nee man, Bayerkak. Yep, always get the trackpad one jammed. Ah, John, thanks. Yeah, newly minted, definitely. The last year and a bit has been, unfortunately, taxing for my hair. And yeah, it really shows up. Good to see you noticing. It's not really the sort of thing you want people to notice, though. And I was at the dentist this morning too. I had to go there because I had some weird bony protrusion coming up through my gum at the back where my wisdom tooth used to be. And it happened about a year or so ago, and it turned out to just be a shard of enamel. And ach nee man. Flippity flip. Right. Yeah, I forgot to put the display cable connection on. I should really focus when I'm doing this sort of work. Camera looks good. Yeah, hey Wayne, very tired. Didn't get much sleep last night, in part because of the tooth. Or the lack of tooth. It was starting to keep me up. If I leaned on that side, it would pain. Anyway, it turns out it was just, it was a root from my wisdom tooth that they took out 30 years ago. And yeah, it was just one little root. And it finally worked its way up and out to the gum line. Yeah, broke through the gum. And then I think what was starting to happen was it was starting to get infected. And so, yeah, that's why I had to get down there. To be fair, I was kind of concerned that maybe something had happened to my gums and I was suffering, like it was exposed in the jawbone. Yeah, you always worry about that sort of thing. Like, oh God, I'm going to die. My jawbone's exposed. I'm going to have some bacteria get in there and then I'm going to get bacteremia or whatever. I'm going to die. And then you find out it's just this little old root coming out. So I was thankful for that. The only downside is I had to get a full jaw face x-ray, which I probably would have preferred not to have that done. But they wanted to know what they were dealing with, or get a better idea of what they were dealing with. Because they prodded and probed initially, and they're like, It's like, you always worry when you hear, out of your medical people. Plus it was another $110 for the x-ray. The thing I hate about the grey is I feel like it sort of jumped me 5 to 10 years a little sooner than I wanted, or I was doing great until my mid-30s, and then things kind of went bad, but then I sort of picked up, but then things went bad again, and so now I feel like I got the hair of a mid-50-year-old. I'm a little bit upset about that, but what can you do? Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing realistic anyway. And I'm certainly not going to go and dye my hair. I'm not that vain. Hey, Jim Allen and Jim Hook. Hey. Got all the gyms here. Now we can exercise. Okay, let's get these in. Trying to think what the fault was on this one. I've got it listed somewhere. Oh, that's right. This is the one that I did the edited video of just before. The one that ended up with that shorted capacitor that wasn't... Yeah, we had all the signature failures, and then we had that shorted capacitor, which was completely unexpected. At least Jim Hook gets the bad dad humour. Glad to see someone does. I'm sure the rest of you also got it, but it was so bad that you couldn't even let out a little chortle. This isn't going to be a proper video as such. It's just a case of testing out the camera, which I've done, and then I thought I would stick around. Plus it's also a good test to see if it's going to crash. One thing that is peculiar is that it didn't want to work on the second USB-C card that I have. Like, I've got the built-on motherboard USB-C, and then I've also got another card that I think's got 2 USB-C ports on it, and it didn't want to use those 2 ports. And that's going to be a little bit of a problem because the infrared camera also runs on USB-C, and I don't want to be switching them in and out. But I'm not worried about it at this point because I do have the new motherboard and CPU arriving in the next day or two. So once the new machine is built, then I'll worry about any issues that come up. Yeah, that's true, Jim. I did see your cry of desperation about daylight saving there the other day. Okay, what's going on here? Oh, I've got broken old capacitors in there. The occasional stutter you used to have is not... oh, you mean in regards to the video, or do you mean myself? As in I have a stutter? Not that I'm aware of. I'm guessing you mean the actual encoding side of things. Me? I've never had a stutter. Hey, Kevin Hawkins. Now I'm going to have to go around and ask everybody, do I have a stutter? Well, Jim, you got lucky today. Maybe not as lucky as you'd want, but slightly lucky. And that is hard to read your name, DreamsPeck, or whatever your name is. That camel case name. Usually have to rewatch. Yes, the unfortunate reality is being in Australia pretty much puts me at odds with most of my audience. I mean, I do have some good dedicated Australians, thank you very much, mates. But the bulk of my audience does tend to come from Europe and the United States. And of course I'm usually asleep or, yeah. 4 days in bed, made it out for a short walk. Crikey. Oh yeah, get to see your birds, feathered friends. That's good. Ortrab? Was it Otrab? Ortrab? Oh, how many more screws are there on this thing? Honestly. It's not even a 1700 board. It's still taking forever. I did have someone asking if I should put music into the edited videos where I don't do any talking as such. But I prefer not to, in all honesty. Because even if you put music in it, then there's going to be someone else saying, I prefer it without the music. And, you know, I tend to agree. But, yeah, it's a case of, if you do find some music, then people are like, oh, that's the wrong kind of music for this sort of show. Yeah, there's always going to be something that you don't quite get right. So in the end, I just do what's easiest, and that is absolutely no music. Just the glorious background noises that happen here of the extractor fan, the galahs or the cockatoos going crazy in the background, or someone coming into the room and checking to see if I'm all okay. Please don't add music here. Don't worry, I'm not going to add music. Hey Copaz. Okay, Paz, what's the story behind the previous robust message thing? You would hear on the video stream, would hear robust, robust, robust. What is the deal with that? I'm not going to be here much longer than the next 10 minutes, if that. Maybe less. Because shortly I'm going to have someone knock on the door and say, breakfast, lunch is ready, and then I'm going to be out of here, because it's food. And food trumps people. Charlie Brown? Really? That's a new one to me. Okay, the part that I hate, all the stupid FPCs. Fortunately, at least on this one, these are all speaker ones and that. I'm not sure what that is. If I took a look at the board view, I might actually know. Okay. Crap, there goes that. And I'll have a giveaway soon. I have another giveaway. Some tools this time. Well, some physical tools as opposed to software tools. And by the way, yes, everybody has claimed their prize from the other week, so all licenses have now been allocated. So there was one person that took a few days to get back, but that's been done now. And hopefully they will all make use of their licenses. Come on, man, get in there. Thank you. Let's see, what next? The battery, I suppose. Where are you? One thing I do have a habit of forgetting to put in is that battery cover. Adhesive label or whatever it is. Mostly because it tends to be fairly useless. But the number of times I have completely put the panel on, ready to go back, ship it up, and then I come back to these containers, and then I realize that the battery cover is still in there, and then I have to unpack it all, take the bottom off, do the job properly. No screw and no panel left behind, although I am going to clean this one. This is pretty downright awful. Let's put this aside for a second. Hey there, with time? Okay. And with that, I'm out of here. Food is here. Thanks all for watching. I'll see you maybe tonight or later. Until then,